What is up, you guys? My name is Aubrey and this is my channel, and today we're going to be talking about Turo because all of my cars are getting destroyed on Turo. In fact, in the last 2 weeks, I've had 5 damage claims of my 12 cars total, which means nearly half of my cars have been damaged in the last 2 weeks. And today I'm going to be going over what that process looks like and also what this means for business as a whole. So let's get started. Now, I feel like I can't in a transparent way talk about how much money I'm making on Turo without talking about the weeks of hell like what I've experienced in the last couple of weeks on Turo. Turo has absolutely been a crapshoot over the last 2 weeks. Really, the month of August has been extremely difficult because of the fact that my cars keep getting damaged. And so in this video, I want to go through what this damage is, what this damage means, what this damage costs, and kind of what this means for the bottom line of the Turo business. So the Turo damage saga started about 2 weeks ago with my Jeep Wrangler. I actually did a video on this topic. You can find that video in the description below, but a renter had a blowout with one of my tires on my Jeep Wrangler. She had said that she didn't know exactly what caused the blowout, but upon further inspection, it was very obvious that it was some sort of nail or screw that was in the tire that caused it to rapidly lose air and then have a blowout on the side of the highway. Fortunately, this was a great renter and she was able to handle it relatively quickly. She called Turo roadside, she got the spare put on, and then once the car was returned, I was able to take it to Discount Tire. It cost about $200 to replace, and within a few days, I was reimbursed by Turo. So I was able to get the Jeep fixed and back on the road at no cost to me, which really kind of is the best case scenario with Turo. But a couple of days after the Jeep Wrangler incident, I get a call from a renter who has my 2014 Ford Fiesta, and she messages me and tells me that the Fiesta was in an accident. Now again, this is a renter that was pretty good. She was really nice about the entire incident. She felt really bad about damaging the car, and she was really proactive in what she needed to do. So as far as renters go, you can't really ask for a better renter than the one that got in the accident with my Fiesta. But the problem is that it was a pretty severe accident. The back passenger side door is extremely damaged, the front passenger side door is damaged, the front fender is damaged, the passenger front tire is damaged, the front end is damaged, and the suspension is also damaged. Fortunately, the person with the Fiesta has insurance and she's been super responsive, and so we are hoping to be able to handle the incident directly with the renter rather than going through the Turo's claim process. But we will have to wait and see because as of right now, the accident was about a week and a half ago and liability has still not been determined. It's still being disputed, and because of that, the process is kind of getting dragged on a bit. But it does look like the Fiesta is going to end up being a total loss because of the fact that there is just so much damage to the car, and the car isn't a high value car to begin with. It will be extremely interesting to see what happens with the Fiesta, whether or not it's considered a total loss, and how much I get paid out for the Fiesta. And once I do get paid out and once the figures are determined, I will definitely end up doing a video on how much the Fiesta cost, how much it made me, and how much I received once it was totaled. So stay tuned for that. But as we stand here today on August 18th, the Fiesta is currently parked on my property. It is not drivable. It is extremely damaged. But worst of all, it is not being rented out and it's not making any money while it's sitting. So we've covered my Jeep Wrangler, we've covered my Ford Fiesta. Now we've got to move on to my green Hyundai Accent. So a couple of days after the Fiesta was reported to be in an accident, I got a call from a renter with my green Hyundai Accent. Now this renter with my green Hyundai Accent had a lot of issues for a number of different reasons. And it all kind of stemmed from the fact that he was extremely unresponsive. Now, unresponsiveness with guests on Turo normally doesn't annoy me because I would prefer for them to be unresponsive than to be overly responsive and to ask a bunch of questions. But the problem with this guest is that he was 12 hours late returning the vehicle and he didn't message me at all during that period of time. Now, I understand that things with renters sometimes come up, things can happen, family issues can come up, meetings can run over, and there can be a slew of other issues that could cause a renter to return a vehicle late. And 99% of the time, I would say I'm pretty understanding of those issues and it's not that big of a deal. But the moment that that becomes a big deal to me is whenever the renter doesn't communicate the fact that they're going to be late. And in this case, the renter was 12 hours late and he never texted me, he never called me, and he would not respond to any of my messages that I sent to him. But nearly 12 hours after the vehicle was due back, he returns the vehicle and lets me know that the tire is losing air. Upon further investigation, once I got to the vehicle, I realized that there was a really obvious reason as to why it was losing air, and that was that there was a huge gash in the side of the tire. Now, it's hard to say exactly what caused this, but HP has said that it was probably due to the renter either hitting a pothole or a curb at high speeds. Now, ultimately, what ended up happening with the Hyundai Accent was I was able to take it to Discount Tire. I had to get a tire ordered. The next day, I was able to get it replaced. The tire cost about $130, which was reimbursed by Turo a couple of days later. So as of right now, the Hyundai Accent is all good. It's being rented out again, and it didn't cost me any money to fix, but it did cost me a good portion of my time in order to take it back and forth to Discount in order to get the tire repaired. Now we move on to the 2009 Toyota Yaris. So in the last few months, I did a video on the Toyota Yaris talking about how it's made $15,000 in its career on Turo. If you guys are interested in checking that out, I will include a link in the description below. So this car is a great car, but it can oftentimes attract some bad renters because of the fact that the car is priced incredibly cheap. And in this case, I had a renter that ran into some issues. Now, this wasn't a bad renter. She seemed super nice and seemed like she had just made a mistake, but the entire situation was incredibly frustrating. This renter had the car for 2 weeks and was pretty consistently extending over that 2-week period of time. But then on Saturday, 2 days before the vehicle was due back, she messaged me and let me know that the vehicle was missing. Now, this story was kind of suspect from the beginning because the renter had no idea what had happened with the car. She had stated that the car had stalled out on the highway and she left the car to go get some gas, and when she came back, the car was gone. Now, there were a few different things that were suspect of this story from the beginning. Number one is, was the vehicle out of gas or did it stall out? Because she specifically used the term stall out, but she also specifically said that she left the car in order to get a gas tank to fill the car with gas. The reason why that's weird is because if a vehicle stalls out, that implies mechanical damage, and if my car stalled out on the side of the highway, my first instinct would not be to go get gas to fill up the car. It would be to call roadside assistance or call AAA or some service like that. Whereas if my car ran out of gas on the side of the highway, I would absolutely go leave it to go get gas to fill it up. So the fact that she had that inconsistency was a bit weird from the beginning. But not only that, she had no idea where the car had gone. She didn't know if it was stolen or if it had been towed. She didn't even know 100% where she had left the car. And lastly, the thing that was a little bit suspect was the fact that she refused to answer the question of where the keys were. I had asked her multiple times through the Turo Messenger app where the keys were for the rental. Did you leave the keys in the car, which then allowed for somebody to steal the car with the keys? Did you have the keys in your possession? Where were the keys at the time that the vehicle went missing? And she really refused to answer this question until 2 days later, where she finally admitted that she had left the keys in the vehicle. Well, fortunately, the car was only missing for 2 days, and on Monday of this week, I got a call from an impound yard in Irving, Texas, saying that they had the vehicle in their possession, and that I needed to come up there with my driver's license, my proof of insurance, and money to pay for the impound fee to get the car out of impound. So on Monday night, HP and I drove to Irving, Texas, where we found out that the car wasn't just stored at an impound yard, it was actually stored at a police impound yard. So we ended up going inside. We had to pay the impound fee, which was about $300, and then we ended up getting escorted to the vehicle. Once we got there, we remembered that the car was out of gas, so we had to borrow a gas tank from the impound yard. We had to go to a gas station, fill it up with gas, come back, fill the Yaris up with gas, and then we were able to drive it off the lot. Upon further inspection, we found out that the car was absolutely trashed. It was full of empty and full alcohol bottles. It was full of stuff. It was full of trash. It was full of food. It was probably the worst state a car of mine has been in about a year. And it was quite honestly gross to have to drive that the 35 minutes back home. All in all, in order to get the Yaris driving again and to get it out of impound, it cost me $300 in impound fees, and it cost me about $35 in gas because the car was completely empty. I'm also going to end up charging some sort of cleaning fee as well because the car will need to be deep cleaned and deep disinfected because of the fact that it was so dirty. As we stand here today, the Yaris claim is still in the process. I have yet to be reimbursed for anything for the Yaris, but I do feel confident that Turo will make me whole in this instance. It just may take a few days. Now on to the last one, which was my 2007 Ford Focus. So the night that HP and I drove to the impound yard to pick up the Yaris, we got a text from the renter who had the 2007, and he revealed that the car had been sideswiped. Now, fortunately, it is extremely minor and it doesn't look like it needs any body work done, and it looks like all it will need is to be repainted on that bumper. And the other good thing about this renter is the fact that he said that he wants to pay for it out of pocket. He doesn't want to have to go through insurance, and he just wants to deal directly through Venmo or Cash App. Now, this is nice because of the fact that HP has experience painting cars, and we can get this fixed relatively cheap, meaning that this guy can just pay for the materials and the time it's going to cost to paint it, and I won't have to pay for the deductible that Turo would charge me if I went through them. But nonetheless, it is still extremely inconvenient because the longer that we have to take to fix a car, that means the longer of a period of time that it's not out on rentals making money. All in all though, these are the 5 damage claims that I'm currently dealing with, or I have had to deal with over the last couple of weeks with my Turo cars. So nearly 50% of my vehicles have been damaged in some way, shape, or form in the last few weeks, which has been an incredibly frustrating experience to say the least. The thing that makes matters worse is that Turo recently changed their insurance policy, and because of their insurance policy change, I now have to pay a $250 deductible on all damage that is done to my cars. Luckily, because of the fact that I'm a power host, which essentially means that I'm just a top-rated Turo host, I don't have to pay a deductible on tires or glass, but any other exterior or mechanical or interior damage, I do have to pay a $250 deductible. So it's extremely frustrating to see that none of my cars were damaged for months, and now they all get damaged in a matter of 2 weeks, right as that $250 deductible rule gets started. All in all though, I wanted to make this video because I feel like I can't make videos talking about how great things are if I don't also shine light on the times where things just absolutely suck. There are periods of time whenever Turo is extremely passive and it goes extremely well and extremely easily. Times where I am dedicating maybe 2 to 3 hours a week on managing and keeping up with my vehicles. But there's also weeks and months, like the month of August so far, where it is significantly higher than that, and I'm having to dedicate a lot more time and a lot more energy on managing my Turo fleet because of renters that rent my vehicles and then damage the cars. I get a lot of questions on Turo and how I'm able to manage a 12-car Turo fleet while also working and consulting, while also creating these YouTube videos, and while also doing all of my other projects. And for the most part, a big reason why I'm able to do that is because of the automated practices that I've implemented in my Turo business. But I would be lying if I said that it was automated and passive 100% of the time, because it absolutely is not. And in fact, in the month of August, I have probably dedicated more time to my Turo fleet than I have in the past 2 months combined. And we're only 2 weeks into August. But all in all, you guys, I hope that you found this interesting. Again, I want to shed light on both the positives and the negatives of business, and you can't have business positives without negatives in the process. And the last couple of weeks with Turo have absolutely been a struggle. But with that being said, I would love to hear your thoughts, so make sure to comment down below. And while you guys are at it, make sure to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, and I will see you guys in the next video.